Hello, everybody. Thanks for being with me this evening. I'm Jack. I'm your host here at Paranormal Planet and the founder of the Paranormal Intelligence Agency. Uh, Appreciate everybody coming back again this evening. I've got an exciting show for you guys, a few different reports. Um, for those of you who don't know me or know why the show is called Paranormal Planet, it's named after my book. And I present a unified field theory of paranormal activity in there to basically offer as a final solution to how and why all paranormal activity takes place. I know that's a bold statement, but most people who have read it have told me that they completely agree with it. So take a peek at that if you get a chance. And tonight we got a really interesting thing. So I'm going to start doing a few what I would refer to as um, paranormal intelligence briefings on stuff that comes up between each show that I discover in my research day to day, and it shows how things are interrelated. Paranormal events, places, names, times, you name it. So tonight's main topic is going to be um, presidential meetings with aliens and possible uh, treaty that was signed. And we'll touch on that a little bit later. Got some interesting information about all of that. Um, so, first off the bat on tonight's briefing, the superflu warning. So, I've had some intelligence come in that there's a new strain of superflu um, that's out there. There's been a few pop up reports here and there. That's all that I was told. However, it's like completely it's, doesn't respond to any kind of treatment. And that's something that some of these intelligence people were predicting for a long time. So keep that in mind as the winter progresses here. And this week we had testimony by some United States Air Force officers, and they appeared before the National Press Club, which is a big deal. And they gave testimony about UFOs appearing over their nuclear ICBM installations. And these craft were able to literally turn off all of the ICBM missiles. In one case, it happened here or actually north here in North Dakota at the Minot Air Force Base there. And in that particular case, it was 10 separate ICBMs that it was able to take offline. Now, this all ties together because as part of this treaty I'm going to talk about later on, they weren't supposed to mess with any of our nuclear weapons. That was part of it. Now that they're messing with the nuclear weapons, that could very well be one of the main reasons for disclosure now, which is happening right now. UFO disclosure all over the place. If you haven't been noticing it over the past year with all the chaos, but you guys are sharp, so I know you're awake. If you're watching this show, you're awake. Yeah, there you go. Gloria Shepard knows the Eisenhower meeting. So what you have is this ongoing crazy UFO disclosure that was, it picked up speed fast. As soon as Lou Elizondo and Tom DeLonge and the TTSA, To the Stars Academy, made it known that the Pentagon had that program and were able to get their hands on videos depicting those craft performing those maneuvers. It's just been gangbuster disclosure, and this is one more step in that direction. Having these guys get the attention of the congressman, which is what happens when you get up in front of a room full of press reporters. And that's what the National Press Club is, for those of you who aren't familiar with that. So this whole nuclear thing ties in, and I've mentioned a few different times that Senator Harry Reid got the ball rolling with this UFO disclosure now by convincing, or providing the information to other senators that these things were affecting the nuclear weapons. That's a major problem. And 70 years has gone by since this treaty was formed, since the military industrial complex has swallowed up the technology that was salvaged from the two separate craft who crashed, one near Roswell. There were actually two separate craft. And Colonel Lee Corso walks everybody through what happens the day after Roswell. The title of his book, where he was the guy chosen to piecemeal out various kinds of technology, and claims we got fiber optics, the integrated microchip, night vision, all kinds of technology from this alien tech that was piecemealed out to these different companies under black budget contracts with the United States government and military industrial complex. So you can kind of see how all of this is tying together. I also find it interesting that you had the Bentwaters problem, the Bentwaters UFO interaction, which is one of the most documented and profound that's ever taken place. And that too was a place that stored many nuclear weapons and was top secret. What's interesting about that is that that craft has various elements that would suggest that it was a time traveling craft, and why it would choose the same location as some of these other craft who don't appear to have been on the same mission is anybody's guess, but it's one of those cross links that I came across. So this all cross links, and this is what's good about Paranormal Planet and the PIA, is that there is an FBI document. And I'm going to see if I can find this document for you guys, if you'll indulge me for a moment here. And this document goes back to the 1950s, and it basically says that the aliens that are here lived on a place that was affected by our... All right, so let's see here for just a second. I'm going to pull this up for you guys. So this is the great thing about producing my own shows. I'm going to be able to pull up the evidence at will for you, because other people had a hard time doing that as I was talking. So let me share this. Might take me just a second here to pull this up for you, and you'll get to see what I'm talking about, because this is something everybody should see. So here we go. So let me blow this up a little bit. This is from the FBI's vault.gov. This was a file dump done by them. Mainly, they're all FOIA requests, Freedom of Information. And they decided just to dump them all. So everything that they have on UFOs, paranormal, etc. A lot of it, of course, is all blacked out, so you can't see much. But this particular document is in their It's in their vault, and let me see if I can blow this up for you guys. Okay, and I'm going to read part of this memo to you, and you're going to see how and why this connects with the testimony that was just given by these officers and this apparent treaty between Eisenhower and other human leadership, and mainly Eisenhower and two separate alien species. And the memo states, part of the disk carry crews, others are under remote control. Their mission is peaceful. The visitors contemplate settling on this plane. These visitors are human-like, but much larger in size. They are not excarnate Earth people, but come from their own world. They do not come from any planet as we use this word, but from an etheric planet, which interpenetrates with our own and is not perceptible to us. The bodies of the visitors and the craft also automatically materialize on entering the vibratory rate of our dense matter. The disk possess a type of radiant energy or a ray which will easily disintegrate any attacking ship. They re-enter the etheric at will and so simply disappear from our vision without a trace. The region from which they came is not the astral plane, but corresponds to the locus or talus. Students of esoteric matters will understand these terms. They probably cannot be reached by radio, but probably can by radar if a signal system can be devised for that. And the word scribbled out. So, almost create near panic. Okay, so I thought at the top of this it would tell you also, but this same memo, and you can find this document online, goes on to say that when we detonated our nuclear weapons testing at Roswell, it damaged their world on this other etheric plane, which we would describe today as another dimension. So you can imagine, time and space, and how crazy all of that is, just on a separate dimension, but almost located in the same space as this other existence, this other world that these apparent aliens that the FBI was aware of had come from. And they were very concerned with the nuclear weapons because they didn't want any more damage to their planet. And they were talking about settling here because of the damage that was done. You can't make this stuff up. That's a real deal. That's in the FBI documents. So, and let's see what else. Oh, yes. And so WikiLeaks. This cross links to a WikiLeaks memo by the astronaut Edgar Mitchell. And Edgar Mitchell wrote a memo to John Podesta, who was the chief of staff, under the Obama administration, stating that he had top secret knowledge of the aliens not going to allow nuclear weapons to be used or the militarization of space to occur. And it's interesting because when you see the testimony of some of these officers, one of them was from a cameraman who was filming one of the nuclear missile launches in which a UFO appeared, shot beams at the UFO, destroyed it, and then disappeared again. He was called into the office to kind of got interrogated as to what he thought that thing was. And he said, it looks like a UFO to me. And this was actually talked about. So it's a big deal. Hi, Peace. Thanks for showing up. We missed you. So this whole nuclear thing is very, very interesting. And in one respect, we can say that it was the interaction with the nuclear weapons that has now caused disclosure to take place. Now, I want to get into Elizondo, but yeah, I will actually before I get to the main part of this. So this treaty that they did was they thought they were smart at the time, and then apparently later on, the brutal reality of what was done settled in, according to multiple sources, including military remote viewers, who most of you know I'm quite fond of as far as intelligence gathering goes. Now, Lou Elizondo, speaking of disclosure now, tweeted recently, or actually was on a podcast recently, talking about his knowledge that there were photographs, high def photographs, out there, meaning out there on the web, that were real and correctly showed occupants of a UFO. I know the exact film he's talking about. It was a UFO film taken off the coast of Turkey in 2015. And I'm going to surprise you guys with the photograph. Now, you have to realize that this was a shaky camera. The video of this encounter is on YouTube, so you can see the original video for yourselves. And the photographs come from a few frames that were blown up, to as high resolution as you could possibly get and still tell what was there. So believe it or not, and this is amazing, and you're going to see the UFOs up above that was blown into to show you what the picture of the occupants is below. So let me go back here. Let's share this with you guys. All right, there it is. And for those of you that can widen your entire screen, it's worth taking a look and telling me that that's not identical to what people describe as a gray. And you can see the actual craft that they're in is up in that left-hand corner. When they blew up the center portion of that craft, these are the creatures that popped out at them. So truly is astonishing. So here is real time, guys, live intelligence, paranormal intelligence coming to you as Lou Elizondo tweeted about that today. You get to see the actual photograph, and no, the photograph isn't really out there. I just happened to have the photograph and knew exactly what he was talking about. So that's exciting. And I wanted to share that with you guys. I just thought, wow, that's really cool. That is, it kind of fits in with this whole thing I've been telling you guys about, how I've been approached by these producers potentially to talk about a film to the public of one of these creatures being interrogated, as crazy as that sounds. And well, I was going to hit something about the dog man, but I won't, because I just don't have time this evening. These shows are going to be a little bit faster than they were before, because I'm not going to cover like really intense subjects for an hour of just straight facts and all of that, because we got some really interesting things to keep covering. So in this treaty, And this is the the high points or the basic points of what happened. Was this was Eisenhower. This was shortly after the detonations of the nuclear weapons. The aliens apparently were able to make a communication, that they were here basically to take the planet, And during this, the remote viewers during this blind remote viewing described this interaction as like human leadership kind of being like, "Oh, really? Oh, wow, you guys have some really neat stuff. Can we get some of this stuff?" We're kind of like that, just like, that's how they were. It was kind of like, advanced human civilization talking to some natives, and we all got some fancy gear on, and we don't care that they came to take all of our stuff. We're just interested in some of that fancy gear. And that's kind of how they describe this interaction going. Now, in order to obtain this technology, the understanding was that they would be allowed without attempted interruption to do genetic testing of the people of the world and genetic experimentation, the hybrids program and hybridization, etc. That was part of the treaty. Now, this was signed in such a way that it has allowed these two separate species. One is referred to as the Orions, the other is the reptilians. And it allowed them in such a way to show to a few other alien groups that are actually in this galaxy and aware of our existence that they had made this deal. So it's fascinating what remote viewers are able to uncover when they're able to examine motive and emotion and thoughts and things like that. It really gives you a really interesting picture of what's going on when you take it, in with everything else. Now, after the deal was made, they began to realize, the aliens were like, "Oh, sure. Yeah, we'll give you everything on one condition." And that was the genetic condition. That was them allowed to do what they're doing with their genetic program, which I've been discussing. Alien abductee accounts have declined rapidly in the recent years. And I think that's an indication that their hybridization program has come to an end and they are implementing it probably as we speak. And I do show a video on the Paranormal Intelligence Agency YouTube channel right here called They Walk Among Us. And if you take a look at that video, you'll be able to see the alien implants. You'll see what they look like. You'll be able to actually see what may have been a real alien hybrid that had been implanted in our society, and how that was covered actually in a story in paper in Los Angeles. So I think you'll find that interesting. Human leadership, that was the other point, was that now that they've been able to make these hybrids that are utterly human in every respect, other than their neurologic superiority, according to researchers like David M. Jacobs, Bud Hopkins before he passed, etc. These hybrids have the ability to affect human thought and emotion, and therefore action within a given distance. They think that some of these hybrids have been able to successfully implant themselves into various close to human leadership enough to be able to affect different outcomes. And the interesting thing to me about the treaty was that they described us as being very willing, and what was the actual well, they were super willing to go into this agreement. According to all of the notes by these remote viewers, there was 4 separate ones that did this reading. And now when they were viewing, like they did a kind of another closed viewing just on the human leadership, and apparently later on there was this profound sadness in the realization of what they had done. So they did realize their mistake, and that mistake has been going on for 70 years now, and it is all coming unwound. The treaty makes clear that the one thing they stipulated by the U.S. government, U.S. military, etc., was that they would help keep the alien presence a secret from the rest of humanity. And I've often wondered why that would be. Why conceal yourselves? Because normally concealment means you're concealing a weakness of some kind. And these creatures have gone to great lengths to conceal their presence from us as much as they could with the amount of activity that they're doing on this planet. And here in the treaty, according to these sources, there's a reason for that. Perhaps, we're speculating, but maybe they couldn't control an entire planet human population that was aware of them and what they were doing on the planet. Might create such a problem that it would interrupt their operations too much to make it worthwhile. For whatever reason, they chose anonymity through this treaty in order to get the genetics. And we have to remember that, and I've often thought about this, we're a species that's gone a really long way in 100 years, from horse and buggy to landing robot rovers on Mars. Is a species you're going to want to take keep close eye on. And we can't forget that in the ancient past, the Anunnaki had a lot of genetic manipulation, and there's every indication that they were master geneticists in every way, maybe more so than the current ETs that we are dealing with now. Because I think in my research, the Anunnaki don't exist anymore. They were obliterated in a war with Mars. There is a video on the channel here about that as well. So take a look and you can see all the research and see how that evidence lines up. But the Anunnaki may have possessed knowledge of the manipulation of DNA in a way that these other life forms are not aware of, making our DNA as an Anunnaki construction extremely valuable. And that's just a guess, just a wild guess from looking at all this stuff for so long. So, and that's basically it for for tonight's report. I do want to show you guys a few other things here. So let me pull this up. Nope. Okay, so I'm going to share what the PIA is up to right now. So let me go to All right, so this is the Paranormal Intelligence Agency website, and if you guys go to paraintelagency.com, you'll be able to see all of my in-depth reports where I show major connections going on between different paranormal events, kind of like the intelligence briefing here, but on a more in-depth scale. And the reports come out as new things develop. So It's quality, not quantity, and everything in there is something that only the subscribers to the website are actually have access to. And I bring that up because I've had an amazing witness come forward, and he is going to allow me to show some of his photographic evidence to the public. And I'm going to flash up a picture of this and show you guys what it is I'm investigating at the moment. I'm only giving, I'm going to give you a taste of this because I actually have a lot of these photographs to go through. And let me see if I can find this gentleman for you. Okay. Now, this gentleman has had an amazing amount of evidence that he's been able to share with me. I'm not going to divulge the location because he would like me to travel there when I can to actually see the spot that he's in. Some of the photographs he sent me are just truly amazing. He doesn't want his name known. He doesn't want any publicity whatsoever, so I won't be divulging any of that. And let me find this for you guys. It's just crazy. I'm gonna blow that up as much as possible. So if you guys can actually, do your full screen on that. This is a creature that he thought was a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot because that's the activity he's having. And the other photographs clearly show that that's what's occurring. These creatures killed an animal and left it for him, and I'll be able to show the subscribers that. I'm throwing this up for a few seconds because what this creature is beyond strange. It looks scaly. It's got a crust. The eyes are here, and this looks to be like a very strange mouth. I will be blowing this up really big for subscribers at the on the website. And so come on over if you want to take a look at that. Every subscription is for a full year, and it helps us keep the lights on around here and keep the best of the best information about paranormal stuff coming out to you guys. So really appreciate you being with me here tonight. Again, we'll be back same time next week. You can join us on Wednesdays over on the Crypto Four Corner Facebook page. There's a link to the live Bigfoot podcast every Wednesday night. So thanks for coming and showing up tonight, guys. Sherry Monroe, are the pics already up for subscribers? They're going to be this evening is actually why I'm posting them. I just got them. So these particular ones are amazing. So there's a gray alien shadow. It doesn't surprise me. That's my mask. That's a mask from Africa. So kind of looks like a gray, but it's not. So anyway, thanks for supporting me, guys. And now I'll be back next week with another amazing paranormal briefing for you, and we'll delve into another piece of the puzzle, jump down another rabbit hole, take another red or blue pill, one of those things. So I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.